Alright guys, you're gonna have to forgive my unfinished hideout here. We're just gonna go and we're gonna start our first video for bosses, and it's gonna be the 4 Conquerors and then Sirus. We're gonna go over mechanics and whatnot. I know some of them better than I know others, so I'm just gonna kind of commentate over, and then if I see something glaringly stupid, you can comment and correct me if you want. But yeah, so of course, just to get them up, you have to talk to Kirak once you have your all your procs, and then you have to talk to Zana to travel to their citadels. I'm not really going to go into all the details of how to actually go and spawn them. I mean, the general idea is you just run maps until you spawn them. If you're having trouble getting your watchstones and stuff, let's see, what's 1 or 2 tips I could say just to kind of cover that broadly. Run the highest tier maps you have, and you can hover over here and you can check which ones you can spawn and which ones what requirements you need to spawn them in those areas. You can find more detailed guides elsewhere. I'm not going to go into huge detail on it. Generally, you just want to kind of follow that menu there, and you should be good as long as you're running some reasonable tier maps for the Conquerors you're trying to spawn. They should spawn pretty easily. It's pretty deterministic up until you get an awakening level that's I think it's 5 or 6, something like that. Once you start seeing Sirus, I think is when they stop becoming super deterministic. I mean, obviously you can keep farming it, you can force it, and whatever. But I mean, just the guaranteed spawn every map, 3 maps to get your proc on the Conqueror thing. And we're gonna skip some mobs here, just clip them every now and then, just get some move speed, pop flask, get frenzies to go faster. And then we're just gonna try and find the boss. There it is. Alright. So which one? I think this is Hunter we did first. We're about to find out, I guess. Crusader. Okay. So Crusader's got the grid here, and you can see it's a 4x4 grid. And he's going to light up rows and columns, and it's going to be the same kind of mana runes on the ground that you'll find when doing the actual Conqueror maps. I believe that they drain your life and your mana. I'm not 100% sure on that. As you can see, I don't have mana here, so I can't really test that for you. But yeah, generally not a good idea to stand on them. The biggest thing that makes him super strong is he can shotgun really easily, and he applies shock because he does lightning damage. So if you don't have a way to get rid of shock or keep you shock safe when he's doing his attacks, and if you stand still, you're probably just gonna get shotgunned. I am fairly tanky, so we're not expecting to die here. And I'll try and go kind of slow just to kind of showcase his different mechanics. Generally, he's got his forward swipe, and then you can see these things. He'll do a few sets of them before he changes up. He has a little dash there. But yeah, he'll throw 3 at a time. I believe he throws more at a time as the fight goes on. And you can see there's a fair amount of overlap, but there's also some areas that don't overlap. And if I'm just moving a whole lot, he should throw them a little more spread. He's not really doing the spread ones right now, but I think once he starts throwing more than 3, they're a little bit spread out sometimes if you're moving around. So let's push him a bit, see if we can get him to do some new mechanics. Yeah, so this is the slam. Oh, sorry. It's not the slam. That is the slam. And you can see he did 1 row and 1 column there with the spawning of these. If the fight goes on for a long time, most of the arena, if not all of the arena, I think will be covered in these runes. And you can just dash over them pretty reasonably safely. You can see that they do despawn, but some of them are kind of sticking around. And there's the spread I was talking about. He's got a fair amount of coverage with between the different things, and what you can do if you go like really far away is he'll come to you and you'll be in a safer area than you were before, but you want to kind of stay mobile. He doesn't move very often, so he will stand still for most of the fight unless you like force him to dash by kind of moving really far away. And yeah, there's a big lead up for either the runes or the slam. It's got a big lead up too, actually. The one that has the like 6 or 7 of the circles. And I believe that's about all he does here. He does have the kind of like spikes that shoot out almost like the rampage effect from in all directions, and I don't believe those are super dangerous. Those ones there, you kind of get a glimpse of them. He doesn't use that one very often. He'll usually just do like 3 or 4 sets of the shotgunning one, and then he'll that one, you can see how closely knit those ones were together because I was so close to him. That can be kind of dangerous. But yeah, he doesn't do the multi beam, I guess, projectile, whatever you want to call it, very often. And you can see he doesn't follow like a specific pattern, but he does have a little bit of a routine here where he just alternates between the big attacks and these ones here. Because I think that's about it, so we're just going to go ahead and kill him here. And move on to the next guy. He can be really dangerous if you don't have proper defenses. Latent damage is always scary, especially if you don't have shock removal. And let's go take a look at another one. Let's go Hunter. Let's go Hunter. Hunter's fun. Factory map. Yeah, not the best layouts we're getting here. Funny story. I was running Conquerors the other day, and I got Vol Temple to spawn on the map that it gave me for one of my Conquerors, and I got a Beauty Through Death drop. So that was super cool. It was more of a cool story than a funny story. Not very funny. That's kind of funny. Getting it on the Conquer map, wasn't planning to run it. I don't know. You tell me. Hopefully I'm not too mumbly. I'm a little tired today, but had all of them up. Really wanted to do this one. Okay, so let's take a look here. So we have our nice triangle arena, and you can see here the Vulcan is struggling a little bit since the technical patch for me, so I hope we don't crash or anything on any of these, but should be fine outside of some minor visual stuff. Alright, so we got a lot of melee. He's a lot more mobile than Baron. You'll see he'll just like come to you. Really likes to follow you around, right? And this is the best time to DPS him when he's here in the middle. You can kind of just like kite behind him. And then when he dips out and the middle starts filling, you don't want to walk in that because it'll give you some nice dot. It's not a poison, so if you can tank it and walk in it, that's fine. You're not going to like keep taking damage after you exit, so you can cross through it if you have good chaos res and whatnot. These guys, on the other hand, will inflict poisons on you. I have a bit of a chance to avoid being poisoned there, so hard to see. But you don't want to take too many of those projectile hits because that will deal a lot of damage, especially if you have low chaos res. That'll do huge damage. And it lasts for a really long time, too. And you can just see here, kiting behind him is the easiest way to stay safe. He's got like a little left and right hooks there, so you can't really predict which way he's going to swing, but it doesn't really matter. So you just want to make sure you're managing going inside and outside of the triangle. If you walk outside of the triangle, snakes will spawn when he's in the middle. And you can see here that if you just follow him, you do get a bit of a chance to like damage him if you got enough movement speed while he's doing attacks especially, and he'll just kind of like dash away from you. But you'll notice that if you're trying to like actually hit him here, you're going to take a lot of hits. I'm getting some poison stacks here that aren't doing me a ton of damage, but probably would be fairly dangerous. And you see we're back in middle phase because the snakes are spawning on the edges. These guys I don't think are particularly dangerous. We can kind of stand in them for a little bit. Yeah, don't think they do a ton of damage. Hard to say though. But yeah, this is really the best time to DPS him when he's in the middle, as opposed to like when he's on the side and constantly like running away from you, not really getting a lot of hits in. Projectile characters definitely have an easier time with this one. They can kind of kite around and poke him from across the other side of the triangle while dodging the snakes. But overall, he's pretty straightforward. Nothing to go wild over there. So who's next? Let's do Veritania. All right. Oh, nice linear layout here. I can kind of go a little faster than normal. Alright, beautiful. Okay, so you got your little tower here. And she's going to spawn a big AoE around the arena that's going to get smaller as you damage her. So if you're saving your... if you have a lot of burst from your flasks, you want to save them until after she's like halfway, so you can kind of finish her off before you get too tightened in by the big AoE here. And you can see if you stand close, she's mostly just going to do some basic autos. She really hasn't done a single mechanic yet, and I don't think if I move she's going to. The double wing flap there, you can see the single wings don't really do a ton of damage, but the double wing flap has a lot of damage if you get hit by all of the projectiles. If you're standing in the middle here, you can see it's a pretty sizable chunk there. Let's just see here. So then she's got the spin. And it looks like the projectiles went invisible there for a second, but basically you just don't want to be at point blank from that. If you walk away, you're going to be fine unless you get hit by like all of them. So let's just DPS her a little bit here. Just poke her down a teeny tiny bit. And yeah, you can see here that right up close we got hit by a lot of them. You don't see me take a lot of damage there because I have gain on block, so it's kind of hard because you're taking a lot of hits. So then she does that like swoop. Where she leaves the trail of ice behind her, and you don't want to walk through that trail because it will just freeze you when you walk through it. And that can be kind of bad if like it's in a bad position, then the storm closes in on you since the storm likes to move around the arena. Alright, so that's the wind up, and she does the trail again, and you'll see if we walk in, I guess we are not taking enough. Oh, we had Conq around there, so that's why I wasn't getting frozen, I guess. But she'll always follow up with a slam on whatever location that you're in. So you want to make sure that you're not getting hit by that freeze, because then she's probably going to hit you with the slam. Yeah, I really can't get frozen here with just the way that my... I wonder if I'm not taking enough damage to get frozen. There was no conch ground there, so I shouldn't have been immune to freeze. I wonder if they made it harder for the trail to freeze you. There was a thing where like the trails would like sustain, and she would spam like multiple of them, and then you'd kind of get locked in, and then they removed it. And I wonder if they made it a little easier. Kind of hard for me to tell. This projectile's easy. You just want to move around, and then it generally won't hit you. If you don't have enough movement speed, it might be a bit of an issue. You can kind of like dash across from it, but there's a wind up on your dash, and that during that wind up you might get hit if you're very closely following the what's it called? The projectiles. And yeah. And yeah, your biggest enemy here is going to be the status ailments, the chill, the freeze. If you walk into the AoE, you're going to see I'm going to start taking a stacking degen. It's going to start doing a lot of damage to me, actually. But as soon as you walk out, kind of like the darkness, once you pop a flare or whatever, it's just going to completely go away. And I mean, that's really all there is to Veritania. Kind of like Hunter, she's fairly straightforward. Baron's kind of like got the most mechanics of all of them, I guess. They're not super difficult, though.
I shall free you.
And you can see you got that big circle letting you know where she's going to slam. And yeah, just dashing or like walking around and dodge those. And her projectiles are like really far spread out if you're like not up front, close and personal with them. So you don't need to be worried about taking a huge amount of damage. But the one when she uses both her wings can be kind of strong.
I shall free you.
I think I'm kind of just repeating myself here, so we're just going to close out this Veritania. Let's just see. You can see how small the circle gets here when she gets really low, and that can be a bit of a problem. Alright, let's move on to the Drox, I believe, is left. Drox is pretty face bang. Doesn't really have a ton of mechanics. Let me think here. So, Drox has like a lot of fist attacks that are fairly well telegraphed that you can kind of just dodge around. We'll see some of those. He's got the, he's got the banners, and you want to clear the banners that are like spawned beside him. But I don't think you really care about the other banners anymore. There used to be a whole thing, and it was really confusing, but yeah, I think generally, as long as you clear the banners that are beside him that he's going to be affected by, you're going to be fine. Now, city square map, nice layout. What's one more? Yep, you're the one more. Alright, you're just going to do swipes. Going to spawn a couple banners beside him. And you can see, I believe this one's making him invulnerable. The Immortalis. I guess are they all called Immortalis? I feel like there's different banners that do different things, but they've made so many changes to the fight, I don't even know anymore. But yeah, generally you just want to like clear these banners that spawn in the center here. You don't have to worry about these far ones unless you drag them all the way into that like area. And you can see there's pretty telegraphed attacks, but you know they have very big AoE, so even there, like I kind of saw it a little late and wasn't able to get out of there in time. And that did a pretty sizable amount of damage. But as long as you can tank him, as hefty physical damage, it's not really much to be afraid of here. You just kind of want to hit him until he pops into his bubble phase. With these ones, you can kind of walk over here and then go back into the middle, or you can like dash through. They'll like come in and then come out. If you're standing on the side, I think he can like he like throws rocks at you from the side, so you want to kind of just stay out of this area really. And then as far as bubble phase go, you just kind of want to burst him through it. It takes a lot of time because he's pretty tanky. It's just kind of like a big ad phase that he forces you to do. If there's anything more to it than that, I'm not sure what it is. I just always just hit him through it, you know? Okay, so let's go stand over here. Let's see what kind of things he does here. Fist. Kind of waiting for the rock throw, but I don't know if he's gonna. Oh, here it is. So that's the one where he throws the rocks, and you can see huge telegraph. But yeah, realistically, just you want to be in the middle. That's all he's really got. Nothing super crazy here. Let's just close that out. Fun. +1 fire skill gems. That could be worth something. Nice. Not at this point in this league, but well, I don't know. People will warp that stuff. It's probably not high enough to use as the base, but just as like a mod passing item, pretty good. And I'm just gonna see if I can quickly spot the seed cache while I'm here. There it is. Just grab my seeds. Great league, my favorite. We are not gonna run that garden right now, though, cause we gotta go do Sirus.
Need a map?
All right, now the fun part. Spoilers, obviously. Yeah, spoiler cutscene. Yeah, go watch. Yeah, go watch the cutscene in game if you want before watching the video, or watch the cutscene here. Either way, it's a cutscene. So you're gonna watch it one way or the other. It's not really super important. And you are forced to watch this cutscene, of course, every time. So if you're asking for a Sirus carry, you have to go in, watch the cutscene, and then exit so that it's 1 player HP for your carry to come in and do the Sirus for you. Basically, you have to wait until the red portals spawn, and then you can you're safe to go out. These portals, of course, don't matter because they're not consumed, but even if they were, it's the same number of portals as your map device, so it's not like you have to worry about how many portals are here versus on your actual device. So you're going to walk in, and I always make the mistake of going north, but you want to go south here. And basically, whenever he's in the air like this, he's going to be firing one of his, like, I believe 3 projectile attacks. He's got Fury of the Cosmos, which is this one. He's got this, like, laser beam, which doesn't do a ton of damage. And it's pretty obvious. He's going to do this, where he, like, spawns all these, and then he's going to have Rain of Stars, which is slightly different than the other one. Actually, are they? Okay, so what do we got here? We got the ground AoEs, right? And then we got the no, I think that's just the voice line. I think it's just the 2 attacks here, and then he has the beam. No, that one was different, right? We're gonna keep watching. We're gonna figure it out. Yeah, he has the power siphon-esque kind of like wand attack, and then he has the like meteor. Obviously, the big thing is just don't stand in the degens, and if it does a lot of damage to you, try not to like take too many hits from them. He does all damage types, I believe. Like, it's a mix of like Fizz, LE, Chaos. So if you have like a lack of like Fizz or Chaos or like LE mitigation, he's gonna start dealing a lot more damage than you'd expect him to. I think the big one usually is people aren't Chaos res capped. And, you know, even if you're not capped, you just, like, you want to have a reasonable amount to try not to take too much damage from him. And so what you're going to see here is he's going to go into this circle. If you exit the circle, he's going to spawn a storm, so you don't want to do that. And then he's just going to kind of teleport around. He always teleports in the direction that he's facing. So that's how you can know where he goes when you don't see where he goes. And he's got a beam that he's going to shoot. That one there, that big beam does a lot of damage. You generally don't want to get hit by that. And then he has the like little tiny beam, which is kind of like an auto attack, and like it does some damage, but not a huge amount. And you know, it's generally pretty easy. Just like if you're watching him to kind of not get hit by stuff, just run behind him. Same thing as Hunter. It's generally a good safe spot. And then yeah, his avatar is going to be firing off things like that laser, those degens, and you just kind of want to avoid those. You can use flasks now because you will get flask charges back in between phases, kind of like Elder Guardians. And once you get him through 25% of his health, he's going to go and he's going to spawn this storm in the middle here, and you just kind of want to make sure you go off to the side. And then try not to get hit while you wait for the storm to kind of progress out of the way to the point where you can walk under him and proc him to go into phase 2. There's 4 total phases here. And phase 2 is basically the same as phase 1, except that he gains one new attack, which is walls, which is this. So just gonna walk out wherever the opening is. Yes, he also has this anti ranged mechanic here, where he kind of blocks you in. Is it anti-range? Yeah, I think it's anti-range. Because the idea is that he locks you in. You can't dash through those walls when he puts them up, and so you have to walk up into melee range, kind of run past him, and he'll alternate between firing balls on the right and left side of that pillar-esque area. Columns would be a better word. Assuming pillar-esque is even a word, which it's probably not. And you can see here that you can kind of just dodge them by going up and down. It's a little tricky. I didn't do a very good job of demonstrating, but you can do it. And the meteor does do a fair amount of damage, but I think it gets stronger and does more damage for the later phases. So I'm just going to push him to 50% here. I want to say that your average build cannot tank any of the meteors. But, you know, I think they scale based on how many walls there are. Each phase is going to add another wall, so the next phase is going to be 2 walls. And I believe they're going to do more damage each time, but I can't quite say for certain if that's how that works. So you can see there's 2 walls here. We can just run out of both of them. Sometimes they'll spawn on opposite sides. I feel like he gives you time based on where he spawns them, so you're not super boned on that one. And the really nice thing here is that let's just proc him down to phase 3 here at 75% life. So the really nice thing here is that if you have Rock Gut or something where you generate frenzies on hit, sorry, you generate flash charges on crit, you can always, not always, but almost always have this up when he does walls. So if you kind of get a bad wall layout, you can get out. It's a really good flask actually. Ever since the buff to it, it's been a lot better. I was using a max 26 qual alchemist's adrenaline, and this one's generally just better, I think. So that's a really good flask to use for him if you have a build that takes full advantage of that. It's a lot of burst speed, which is good for getting out of there. Even if you just want to swap one in with your regular Quicksilver, it's usually good. So we're going to phase 4 here. You can see he reset to actually 75% of his HP. And we got a lot of things going on here. So we got this quad beam, which you can kind of just dash through the lasers here. When he splits into 4 clones, I'm trying to keep DPSing here. When he splits into 4 clones and says Everlasting Fire, one of the clones you can still DPS while he's doing that. Here it is. So this one glowed a little bit, and so this is the real clone. You can kind of DPS him a little bit there, and then you can dash for the quad beam. Then he really likes to split into this big circle of clones when he's untargetable during this attack. What's going to happen is he's going to slowly raise his hands, and when his hands get to the top, there's a voice line as he shoots his big die beam, which will, as the name implies, kill you, probably. Unless you're very tanky. The big thing here is that because he does a lot of different types of damage, you're going to take a lot of different status ailments. So we're going to see here. That was a little bit bad positioning on my part. Things like shock are going to do a lot of damage to you, and then the quad beam there is also going to apply a negative effect on you, which is has a slow attached and stacks, and that can be really bad. You see he's added some movement here to his static die beam as well, where he was just standing still before, and yeah, that one's going to do a lot more damage than the previous version, I believe. So we're just going to dash at the last second here, and you can usually dodge. I keep dashing into him. Dashing away from him is usually the strategy. Going behind him always good. Let's DPS a little bit more while we're here. Sometimes he likes to stand still, sometimes he doesn't. Just kind of a little RNG. The beam always rotates counterclockwise, so you always want to be on the right side of him. I'm not dodging any of those today, my goodness. The goal is to be a good player and dodge the attacks, but I'm kind of a bit lazy with it, with being able to tank them. So when you switch kind of between a build that can and can't, it can be a little tricky because you're just like kind of your senses are a little bit slower because you haven't been practicing dodging it, kind of thing. Okay, here we go. We're gonna dodge this one. Hands get to the top. We're gonna dash and dash again, and we're safe. Nice. Just want to make sure you're like moving at the end of that phase, and you should be fine. Ideally, jumping over the quad beam fractions. I don't think there's much else to show. That's basically all his mechanics. See, it would be nice if he would show us the like triple wall, but I'm not sure he's gonna do that. And as I'm gonna demonstrate here, actually, make a bit of money for myself here. What you can do, let's find a good spot. You can kind of run away from the fight here. Oh, not into the storms. Bad idea. The storms do big damage. Okay, so we're as far away from the fight as possible, and he's not really going to do anything to us here. So what we can do is we can then go and we can open our /trade 820, and we can sell kill completions. And this, you can do this near the end of the league. Every time there's some challenge for killing, like 50 Sirus this league, people will pay currency for them. So you can just put in something like want to sell Sirus. I know this isn't really mechanics, but I want to sell Sirus kill completion 50C, and you kind of want to make sure that like this he's close to death. Ideally you have a cull gem so that you can, or like culling in some way so that you can kind of just make sure you close out that fight, because he goes invuln a lot, and if he does his wall he's going to tug people in. And you can see this guy wants to buy your Sirus. That's a little different. They want the loot. What you can literally do every time this challenge shows up is you can sell the kill completion for the challenge. Generally a little later in the league. People don't really want them super early. And then you also get to keep your loot because you're doing the Sirus. If you're not super confident in your ability to kill Sirus, or like you're not super tanky, it can be a little hard to do. But if you have like a nice boss killer, it's a great way to make a lot of currency. And you can see here that I'm just gonna post this, and then I should get like 1 or 2 PMs, I would imagine, almost instantly at this point in the league. And yeah, you can see here we got one guy, and then while we're waiting for this guy, we can just kind of be like, last call. I'll tell you when to come in. And so you just want to make sure that nobody's coming in early, boosting the monster life before you're kind of really ready to just put in that final blow. And yeah, it looks like we might have only gotten one person here, but you can get like up to 4 people. That's an extra 200C from your Sirus, and you don't even have to sell the loot, right? Like, so killing Siruses can be very profitable. We are not going in the right direction. Okay, so let's go find ourselves back over to where Sirus is. And you can see he did literally nothing while we chilled in the corner over there. Okay, so we're doing Everlasting Fire here. Sometimes he will do double quad beam, which can be a little bit tricky. If he had a quad beam up before you like run off like that, he'll put another one down sometimes, and that can be a little bit rough. Okay, come. Yeah, we're not going to get to show a triple wall here. Sometimes he just doesn't like to do the wall mechanic, and I don't know why. So you can see here, he dropped a bunch of I-86 influence spaces, and I'll mention something about that in a sec. But this is his helmet that he drops, like, most of the time. He'll usually drop one of his uniques, so you will get, like, a helmet. Let me think about this, hold up. So you have a chance of getting an Ivory Watchstone, which in this case we did. You will get some influenced I-86 bases, which we did. You might get a Awakened Gem, which in this case we did. there's a small chance that you will get the Savior to drop. And I believe that's separate from the actual unique drop pool, which is either the Hands of the High Templar or this helmet that we got. So there's up to 4 things you can get from one Sirus. Actually, I'm slightly incorrect there. The Savior Sword is part of the unique loot table like the other ones. The separate thing I was thinking about was the Awakener's Orb, which I believe is about 1 in 4 Siruses or something like that. You'll get an Awakener's Orb. Which at the time of this video are like 6.5x. So farming Sirus, very profitable. And you can see we just made an extra 50C there. You can get vouchers this way too. You can post on like TFT and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. The thing I wanted to mention about these bases is that if you do the Chaos recipe with influenced bases of the same influence, so like a full set of Redeemer gear, unidentified, you'll get a little bit more than if it was identified, but you'll get, similar to the Chaos recipe, you'll get Exalt Shards, 2 or 4 if they're unidentified. And so if you just make dump tabs with these, you can get a lot out of it. And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for this one. I think I covered everything. Hopefully we'll get around to doing some of the other ones shortly. And that's all. Good luck with your Siruses, boys. Always make sure they're Awakener 8 so that you can get the best loot out of them. If you don't have all your Watchstones, you can actually buy Ivory Watchstones, and you can just kind of socket them in place of like Watchstones that you don't have. So if I didn't have this one, and let's say I didn't have this one, I can just socket Ivory Watchstones into these spots to make sure I get them. And the big thing about Ivory Watchstones is they are white, so you can put them in any socket, and then they usually give you really nice mapping benefits. This one, War Among the Stars, is one of the better ones. Just make sure when you're buying them, you're watching out for the 12 uses remaining. They have different numbers of uses remaining depending on which ones they are. Some are more valuable, some are cheaper. Make sure when you're price checking the right ones. Yeah, bit of a tangent there, but that's, yeah. Hopefully that was helpful to some people there. Good luck.